Okay, we're in our 2007 Ford F-Series pickup. It's an F-150 full-size pickup. Putting a remote starter in it. We're putting the CRIMESTOPPER PSO1G4. PSO1G4, same thing as an RS4G4. Basically, we're using the single button configuration to just start the vehicle. Customer's going to use factory remote to access the vehicle. We need to have two keys present at the time of installation. They need to be OEM keys. We're actually going to teach it a third key to do our transponder bypass. The key is embedded in this transponder box. It's the CRIMESTOPPER RS-TATA 5. And this is basically an overview of how that box is set up. The induction ring, going to this induction rings right here. This is going to be draped around the ignition barrel when we're done. So I'm going to set the camera up and I'm just going to do the install real quick. Harness comes pre-crimped. Basically, if you had purchased this, these connections would be labeled as well. Very few connections to do this vehicle. We already have it set up for positive parking lights, so I'll go ahead and do the install. Connect our constant power to the green with a violet trace. I'm going to plug that in. That gives us our power feed. I'm going to connect our primary ignition to the blue with the green trace. Accessory wire to our black with the green trace. And our starter wire is going to go to the red with the blue trace, just like that. We have our ground set up to ground right here to the support bar. So we're going to use a self-tapping screw to do that, and we will here. There. Parking lights and brake can be accessed right here at the trailer plug. We're going to go ahead and we're going to run these over. Plug into the brake, green wire. Just wrapped around each other a little bit here to hold them together. They're both going to the same place. Parking light wire is the brown wire with the trailer plug. All the connections to this system are done at this point. We could conceivably put a key in the ignition that is already programmed to the vehicle. We could slide this key in. We have our column plastic drop down, and we could push the button. Transponder initialization, and get this vehicle to start. So once you're set up, the installation's about 15 minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push on the brake pedal. I'm going to shut the vehicle off. I'm going to set the camera back down a little higher. Try to get basically what I'm doing with this transponder ring going here. Going to take the ring that I've made, that you get in your kit here. We're going to drape it up through the column, and sometimes this, you can't get the lower plastic off. So I'm just going to snake it up here where I can grab it with my finger. I'm going to pull it up around the ignition. Okay, now with this loop draped around the ignition, it's going to deliver our RF signal to the immobilizer upon remote start. Now we're going to have to program the key that's embedded in the box. Here's how we're going to do it with everything installed. We're going to take the first OEM key, put it in the ignition, turn the ignition on, leave it on for a few seconds, shut it off, quickly put the second key in, turn it on, leave it on for a couple seconds, shut it off, pull the key out, push the remote starter button. Transponder light's going to come on solid and go out. The vehicle's going to start and run. The key that is embedded in the box is now programmed to the vehicle. So we retain our two OEM keys, and we have added a third key that is embedded in the box. The remote starter is installed. The only thing that we have to do now is we have to route these wires neatly down this main harness right here and mount the unit up underneath the dash. And again, like in our 2008, we're going to go for this back side where there's lots of room up here. The only other thing that we have to do is we have to install the antenna. You can leave this under the dash. You won't have as much range, If you put it up on the windshield, you'll have better range, but you'll still have pretty good range with this under the dash if you don't want to run it up your A-pillar. Here's the overview of the installation again, right here. So our connections. And our ring's going to go up in the column.